Okay, so welcome back. We just did a demo on how to use the bandsaw. We have two bandsaws. Folks are not always interested in using a power tool. Sometimes you want to just use good old natural tools that we've kind of invented and have been around for versions of these for thousands of years, literally, I guess. And so I'm going to just kind of use, we have a coping saw, we have two different kinds of hand saws, and we have a hacksaw. The hacksaw is really for like plastics and metals. If you want to cut, it's very similar. We have a vise here on the side of our tables. These vices work like this. You spin them, and then you can change it, and then you pull it out, and that's going to be a lock. And then to release it, you lefty-loosey. So counterclockwise is loosening it or opening it. And these things shift. And so what you're going to do is you're going to open it, and you can put a piece of wood very securely like this, and then you can cut down. So I'm going to just release it. I'm just going to demonstrate for a second here how to use a right angle tool. So it's called a speed square. And so I'm going to take it here, and this can adjust, so you can make this different lengths. This is a small one that we use for making sure our blades on our saws are square. And then I take a pencil. Okay, so, and then what I can do is I can rotate it and kind of mark right here how it continues. So when I'm cutting with a hand tool, with a handsaw, I like to, it's a little awkward with the camera trying to keep the angle. I like to mark on at least two sides. Okay, so, and I think for purpose of our video, I will go ahead and mark it on three sides so that from Cello's point of view and maybe some of the point of views at home, you can follow along with the line there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it in my vise, and I'm going to bring it as close as I can to the table. So there's the work table right there. So I'll just bring it about a 1/2 inch away. As opposed to bringing it out here, it then can wiggle even when it's clamped. And so this will be the least amount of movement, and it'll make it harmless. So I am going to actually move this camera over just a little bit now that I have things. Can you still see that angle is pretty okay? Okay. So when I start, so if you notice your saw blades have a bit of a direction, as I take it and I just very slowly, and I'm not putting any pressure. I'm putting literally no pressure right here. And I'm just now, I've kind of got a groove established, and I'm just going to go back and forth using the whole length of the saw blade. And I'm basically looking down with my right eye, and I have my left eye closed actually to make sure I'm staying straight up and down. When you get down to the very bottom, one thing that can often happen is that you can over muscle it, and you can actually break and cinch out the bottom. So this is a time where you can kind of back cut a little bit, and you'll get a nice cleaner cut that won't have blow up. Just really slow things. I got a nice clean cut. It seems to have matched the sides close, but on this outside, it does seem to have gotten a little bit of a curve, but on my side, it was pretty clear. And again, we can clean that up with a sander. Okay, so another cut I wanted to kind of talk about is another thing you can do with this is you can take this and you can make like a 45-degree angle cut, for example. And what you would do is you wouldn't put the saw like this. You would put the piece of wood vertical like this. So hopefully, I guess I'm near camera. Cello, why don't you just come around for a second? You can see I basically have that straight up and down right here. And so again, and I'm not going to cut the whole thing through. Again, as I would just kind of start my cut. And what I'm realizing is that's actually kind of hard starting a cut on an angle, on a corner there. So what I might do is I might start it like this. And so anytime you're clamping, I'm going to clamp it in a little tighter. Give it a little shake. And again, so here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it at 90 degrees to just get my groove established. And then once I'm established, then I can go down. So you can see that little chip that happened. When I went down, there was so little wood that was holding it. So one thing to note is that if this was my important piece, I would have been pretty bummed just now. And so if this is a small piece that's really important, it's just a little bit of grain on a cracked old piece of scrap wood, you really have to be mindful of it. Okay. So there we go. Not a perfect cut, but a cut. Okay. So there's one more kind of saw I wanted to demonstrate that I mentioned to you in the bandsaw. This is called a coping saw. It's a classic detail saw. And so what I've done was I had kind of a little concave shape there that I drew. And then I used the bandsaw to actually cut in all these little kerf cuts really quick. And so what I can do, and for the purposes of this, yeah, I'll do it like, you know, I'm going to do it this way. You might not be able to see it quite as much. Let me just draw a rough shape on the other side. So you kind of watch along. You know what, I'll try to do it now, straight up. And maybe we can see it from more angles. Is that better? Right, a little bit. So, and so what we're going to do is you can, I think I'm going to have to readjust this just a little bit. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to kind of, on my first little line, so actually what you can see is I didn't actually get my kerf cut. I just cut directly into the wood right there. So, because I was just cutting along the line. But two different ways to do it. But a pretty interesting way, and we could have actually just, and I probably should have in my demo, to just show you that you can actually, on non-plywood kerf cuts, you can actually just break it. Well, I might do that as a demo again, and then you can come back in and cut it with the bandsaw or the coping saw. Okay, so I think that, okay, so one just last saw is that is a hacksaw. You can use it to cut wood, but it's not what you would use as your first choice when you have other options. This is really, you could use this to cut steel, to cut aluminum, to cut plastics. It has very fine teeth, and so it would be slow going through wood. Okay, I think that ends our little demo on handsaws. Do you have any questions, Cello, that maybe I didn't cover from a... Okay, thank you. So folks, we decided to demo, so this is what we got made in the bandsaw demo from a little while ago. And this neck, as opposed to using a sander, a coping saw is perfect. So I would slide it in, my left hand, I'm kind of trying to guide it and kind of curving. So this saw blade, because it's so thin, it's a little slow going, more slow going than the bandsaw, but I can get in really tight details. Just while we're here, I'm going to give you a little bit of, so I don't want to lose this little piece. So I'm going to take a break from doing this anymore, and I'm going to demo just how to fix a little glue joint really quick. Chris, hold on. Okay, so I've got this little piece that I don't want to lose, this little piece of the kind of finished grade. So I pull up my glue. I'll take it here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squirt a little bit right there. And then I would use blue tape, which I think we maybe just used our last blue tape to hang a sign that I'm just realizing right now. But we'll see if me just holding this for another 10 seconds works. But I think it will. But this is the end of our coping saw demo. But normally you just put a piece of blue tape right here and it would be perfect. So this is 10 seconds after I stopped. I just let my finger go and it works just fine without blue tape on this little thing. But we do have a little bit of blue tape that I'm going to get a little tiny bit. And this is also just as a kind of a reminder that this is a bit of a fragile area. And so I'm not going to want to cut this for the next, hour or 2 hours while this really firmly sets up. Okay, and there's the end, pressing end.